In that same context, then, where looking to make everybody proficient, we're looking to be able to teach everybody up to a certain level with this 21st century view. One of the things that Dr. Silber was talking about as chairman of the board is not everybody is college material.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. And while it offended some people, it really is true. Not everybody is college material.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's going to go to college. Not everybody has to go to college. Are we mandating then for places like Randolph this level of accountability and proficiency that may not necessarily be one size fits all, and therefore strapping them and other like communities?
Yeah. That's a fair question. I think that's why we have a pretty public process and an open process for setting standards, and we're revisiting our standards now. And our standards, I think, recognize that most children in Massachusetts require and now participate in some level of post-secondary education. And even jobs that we've historically thought of as not requiring a college education, whether it's being a plumber or an electrician or working on the floor of a factory these days, requires a level of sophistication that typically people don't derive just from a secondary education. So I think that we can acknowledge at the same time that, quote unquote, not everybody's college material, in the words of John Silber, without at the same time saying that not everybody needs some level of post-secondary education. Our argument is we ought to graduate people from the secondary system with the capacity to move onward in some form of post-secondary education, should they choose to do so. They ought to be ready to do that. And I don't think there has to be a one-size-fits-all curriculum. And in fact, I think that's one of our issues in this whole domain is we do have a sort of one-size-fits-all mentality in terms of the way we organize public education and the way in which we think about what we do for children. Part of my argument about poor kids is we're going to have to do more for those children. We're going to have a differentiated system that says different people come in the door with different needs, and we ought to have learning be the constant and time vary instead of time be the constant and let learning vary. Up until now we've had a system that operates on the paradigm that time is fixed. It's immutable. It came down on tablets, and we have 6 hours a day, 180 days a year. You either get it or you don't, that available time. If you don't, we have two equally unattractive alternatives for you. You can either be retained in grade, or you can be socially promoted. Either one of which there's a rich body of research shows is not good practice, but that's what we offer you. Instead of saying, we've got a high minimum standard here, and different kids are going to learn at different levels and take different amounts of time, and so we ought to build a system that differentiates and takes that into account. The metaphors I use, it's like what we're doing is like operating a hospital where we open the front door and we say, everybody walks through the front door, we're going to give you, irrespective of what your ailment is, we're going to give you the same treatment and the same length of stay. And in general, this will contribute to the public health. But in any particular instance, it's not going to be too effective. Or another metaphor is, it's like we're running a 100-yard dash here. We're saying we want everybody to finish at roughly the same time and go roughly the same speed. Yet we know some kids start this race about 50 yards from the finish line, given all the advantages they bring in with them. And other kids are about 300 yards from the finish line. So expecting them all to finish at the same time in the same place, not going to happen in the way it's organized. So we've got to, and what I like about standards is it keeps us coming back to that. We're not there, it's not happening. It's not happening in the way we conceive it. Before we could have this aspirational rhetoric, the myth of American schools is that it's an equal opportunity society. The schools make it a meritocracy. Anybody can get there, anybody can do it. And we're trying to actually deliver on that, make that happen.